I was born in Fort Bragg, North Carolina, grew up on a military base for a while, and eventually settled in Fayetteville, North Carolina, around a lot of other military families. So it was just great. For as long as I can remember, my father said, "You will go to college." College was something that was unattainable for many people in his generation, regardless of race, but especially within the Black community. A college education was something that was cherished. But my mindset and attitude about a no-fail mission in Appalachian was twofold. I wanted to graduate from college, and I wanted to become a second lieutenant. But there's a third area. I didn't want to disappoint my parents. I attended Appalachian State for two reasons. One, because it had an Army ROTC program, and when I started college, women could join Army ROTC. They could not in the past. And secondly, the pictures. I never did a campus visit, but it was so beautiful. My mom dropped me off, and there I was, and it was kind of hit me for the first time. I'm really in college. I'm away from home. Okay, I got to figure this out, and I only have 4 years to do it. So when I started Appalachian as a freshman, there were 9 Black freshman women in my class. And I'm not sure of the full number, but it was probably less than, 100 African Americans at Appalachian at the time. And it was still new. Integration was still very new. And during that time, Vietnam had just ended. So there was a lot of anti-war sentiment on campus. And that was something that we had to deal with. So one thing about the Army ROTC program, we had a common goal, and race, gender didn't matter. Obviously, I was a woman, and I felt like I had a cadre of big brothers. And we took so much pride in that, and it was a sense of camaraderie and moving forward together for a common goal and a common purpose, and proving to everyone who did not attend Appalachian, this is a place you may want to take a look at because we're doing some great things there. I did not realize that I was the first Black female to receive a commission in the Army ROTC program at Appalachian State until 2008. So when you're doing what you want to do, what you're doing, what you believe is right, you're not concerned about making history. It's about getting the job done. And my job was to get a degree in 4 years and become a second lieutenant. So that was my mission focus at the time. So when I learned that I was the first Black female, I'm glad I was the first, but I know I wasn't the last. I did achieve my goal of becoming a second lieutenant. I served in the United States for about 3 years, starting out at Fort Lee, which was also Fort Gregg Adams. And then I went to Fort Rucker, Alabama. And then I went to Korea, and I spent a year overseas, and that was a powerful time in my life, just to see another part of the world and to see what's possible. But then as life happens, I got married, and I said, okay, I can just be a supporting military wife now, and life was great, 2 kids, but I'd stayed in the Army Reserve, going to drills or training once a year, so I came back on active duty. And right after I came back on active duty, the war broke out in 1990, and we started sending troops again, to the Mideast. And I was in the middle of that mass mobilization in the Pentagon, just really understanding what happens when a war breaks out, and part of that planning process just really put me in the same room as our nation's leaders and hearing those discussions and the concerns. And that was another, I think, a life-changing experience. I came back to Appalachian about 30 years after I graduated. Look, I've been to the mountaintop, I've achieved the victory, that's in my past. I am not going back. But after Appalachian beat Michigan, the buzz started. A couple of alumni, Black alumni, said, we need to go back. There are a lot of students there who need to see us. We need to leverage this momentum to encourage students of color to come back to Appalachian to be active, because there's a lot of opportunities. So I went to homecoming the year after Appalachian beat Michigan, and I think it was Dr. Renee Evans says, we want to start an Appalachian African Network Association to really encourage not only the alumni, but provide some support for the students who were there. And so a lot of us got together and says, we can do some great things. Let's just embrace Appalachian and make it a welcoming environment. So that was our goal. And Dr. LaTanya Afolayan was on the advancement staff at Appalachian. She said, consider joining the Appalachian Foundation Board. I'm like, why? You can influence scholarships, you can encourage students, you can maybe bring a perspective to the foundation board that they don't have. So when I joined the foundation board, I saw a gap. There was nothing specifically for military veterans, and that's why I started the Warrior Fund at Appalachian State for veterans and their families. And so having that conversation was a pivotal moment, I think, in my renewed connection to Appalachian, and I've been joined at the hip with them ever since. Well, since I retired from the Army, I had a very successful career as a federal contractor. But back in 2015, I learned about this incredible group of World War II women called the 6888. These were Black women of the Women's Army Corps who went overseas to Europe and solved the military's male and morale problem. And I felt such a connection, and then I just started on different projects to bring recognition to the unit. I helped produce a documentary about the unit, and while we were working on the documentary, the executive producer says, why don't you introduce Congressional Gold Medal? I'm like, okay, how do you do that? I'm like, how can I get Congress to agree on anything? But using the organization and leadership skills just for a grassroots movement, I contacted veterans organizations and encouraged them to contact their members of Congress. And fast forward from 2019 to 2023, for 3 years, we got legislation passed.
The Congressional Gold Medal is the highest honor this body can bestow. It's reserved for those whose courage and service shaped our country and our nation's story.
I am more than honored to be with you today to present the 6888 with our nation's highest civilian award. Armed with education and patriotism, they gave their all and returned from the war and to their lives without fanfare. Many said that they did their jobs and came home, and the ones I talked to told me, Colonel, end of story. But I wouldn't accept that as the end of the story.
Today is our way of saying in no uncertain terms that their story will never be forgotten. And so, on behalf of a grateful nation, it is my honor to present the Congressional Gold Medal to this 6888.
So what inspired me to begin the storytelling and the advocacy for the 6888? I read about the 6888 many years after I retired from the Army, and part of that advocacy included quite a bit of research. And the Afro-American newspaper was critical to the research. We were at the Maryland State Archives outside of Baltimore, Maryland, where the Afro-American newspapers' archives are also temporarily housed. Mainstream media or the white press did not tell these stories about our Black troops overseas, and the story is so amazing. Troops were not receiving mail, warehouses, airplane hangars full of mail, 2 to 3 years backlog. Mail was crucial to morale. That was the only source of communication that troops had with their loved ones. So as a result, the Army's leadership decided to send 855 Black women from the Women's Army Corps. So Charity Adams was selected to lead this unit of 855 Black women. But again, she wasn't a trained postal clerk. The women were not trained postal clerks and cleared the mail backlog in 3 months, and the Army only gave them 6 months, if they could do it at all. At 26 years old, she was able to accomplish that task, unlike any other unit who had been assigned that task before her. So with the Afro's help, I was able to locate not only the names of the first contingent of women to serve overseas with the 6888, but the cities. So many times I was able to get a yes from a member of Congress just by sharing the congressional district from information that I found from the Afro newspaper. It's just a phenomenal story, and that's why I believe this newspaper is so crucial to that narrative. I've been blessed and fortunate enough to have a lot of recognitions since retirement, more than I ever expected and anticipated. And yes, I try to go that extra effort because as a Black woman, I know I always had to do twice as much for half the respect. And for my contributions and awards and recognitions, I defer to Charity Adams. You don't know it's history until somebody tells you that it's history. Especially with Appalachian State, I didn't know until 30 years after I graduated that I was the first Black woman to receive a commission at Appalachian State in the Army ROTC department. Didn't know, didn't care, because it was about that moment, something that I wanted to do. I didn't care if I was first, second, third. I just wanted what I wanted when I wanted it. What does the Distinguished Alumni Award mean to me? It's a privilege, first of all, to not only attend college, but to choose Appalachian. It's like a full circle moment because for about 2 or 3 decades, I didn't return back to Appalachian. I wasn't involved, but I just saw such an opportunity to contribute. It's not about me, it's about the Appalachian story. The foundation that I got at Appalachian fueled my military career. But it means that not only did I accomplish my dream, I made Appalachian proud.